All units responding 110 Calhoun Street.
These people were in church.
The active shooter, multiple people down.
In church.
We got two people coming out, an adult female and a child.
This was a hate crime.
He's an assassin.
We have made an arrest in this case.
I've had to make statements like this too many times. Someone who wanted to inflict harm had no trouble getting their hands on a gun.
Parents are having to explain to their kids how they can go to church and feel safe.
Senator Pinckney was the moral conscience.
The Lord teaches us to love all.
And the heart and soul of South Carolina was broken.
Good evening, I'm Courtney Bryant.
And I'm Tom Murphy. We start in Charleston, South Carolina. 9 people are dead and a 21-year-old South Carolina man is in police custody in connection with last night's shooting inside a church.
Dylan Roth was arrested this morning in North Carolina. CBS Marley Hall has the latest from Charleston.
The massacre at this church has left the community stunned and angry that such violence could happen in a place of sanctuary. The manhunt for 21-year-old Dylan Roth ended in Shelby, North Carolina this morning when police pulled over his dark-colored sedan. Roth is accused of killing 9 people during a prayer service inside a historic black church in Charleston, South Carolina.
He was cooperative with the officer who stopped him. We don't have any reason to believe there was anybody else involved.
Police say surveillance images show Roth entered the Emmanuel AME church last night. He apparently sat in on a prayer meeting for about an hour. A law enforcement source tells CBS News. A witness reported Roth then stood up and said something about shooting black people and opened fire. Among the dead, South Carolina State Senator and the church's pastor, Clementa Pinckney.
And give you peace, and give you peace.
Today, Governor Nikki Haley joined the congregation for a prayer vigil.
And so we have some grieving too. And we've got some pain we have to go through.
The Emmanuel Church is one of the oldest historically black churches in the country, with deep roots in the civil rights movement. President Obama says he knew Pastor Pinckney and expressed anger that he died in a type of mass violence not seen in other advanced countries.
Once again, innocent people were killed in part because someone who wanted to inflict harm had no trouble getting their hands on a gun.
The FBI is investigating the shooting as a hate crime. A mother, a track coach, a librarian, and a recent college grad are among the other victims gunned down. In Charleston, South Carolina, Marley Hall, CBS News. Back to you.
And what happened in South Carolina affects everybody in the United States, including people here in Kern County. Eyewitness News reporter Adam Herbets shows us how far this reaches. Adam?
Tom, when this many people die, it's a tragedy, and when this many people die as a result of a hate crime, oftentimes that sadness turns into anger. Today, our leaders here in town tell us what we can do. The Emmanuel AME Church in South Carolina was founded in 1860. On Wednesday, it was a bloodbath.
I actually got a text message while I was at church. Clicked on the link on my phone, and I was just devastated.
AME stands for African Methodist Episcopal, and at the church, witnesses say the man they now have in custody stood up and said he was there to shoot black people.
Racism is, of course, still here in America, but to the extent of taking life inside of a church.
In Bakersfield, we also have an AME church, the Kane Memorial AME Church. In other words, we too have a historical landmark, and it's supposed to be something we celebrate.
Kane was one of the founding African-American churches here in Bakersfield and has been a pillar in the community for many, many years.
Patrick Jackson tells us in the past that church has also been a victim of hate crimes like fire and graffiti, but never anything like this. Really, he thinks there's not much we can do except pray and keep those victims in our hearts.
We want this young man at the end of the day be saved. Also keep him in prayer that God will move on his heart as well. This is something that is very devastating to the families, to the congregation, and to the city, and obviously now to our nation.
Patrick Jackson went on to say that he doesn't think this is in any way a political issue or a gun issue. He says he saw Obama's comments, but he thinks that people kill people and that guns don't kill people. He says that this is just an issue about American lives. Reporting in studio, Adam Herbets, Eyewitness News. Courtney.
Adam, thank you. Congressional lawmakers are setting aside political differences to mourn the tragic deaths of those gunned down in South Carolina. Here's national correspondent Christine Frizzell.
God, our hearts cannot believe a man would be so angry and venomous.
Another mass shooting in a public place, no less a historic church in South Carolina, has left a hole in the heart of our nation's capital.
I almost got physically ill thinking of the loss of life and then the location and the dear people who have been killed.
South Carolina Congressman Joe Wilson and Mark Sanford had personal working relationships with Emmanuel AME Church pastor Clementa Pinckney. The Reverend Pinckney, who also served as a state lawmaker, was among 9 people gunned down during a prayer meeting.
I don't understand this kind of malice. I mean, the idea of going into a Bible study for an hour, hanging out, and then shooting essentially everybody in the room is beyond comprehension.
On the east lawn of the U.S. Capitol, Republican and Democratic House and Senate members came together for a prayer circle.
In a time like this, I think only God can provide us the comfort and the guidance we need.
I'm Christine Frizzell reporting.
It was a hot Thursday once again. Temperatures a little warmer today than we were yesterday. Clear skies continue across the region, and temperatures today got up to 104 for a high. Currently, it's a little bit cooler outside. We're at 102 degrees, but the good news throughout all of this has been the very low humidity, currently 7%. It's going to continue to be hot through tomorrow, but it will be cooler tomorrow to some degree. We'll show you that in a few minutes. Temperatures right now ranging from 97 in Buttonwillow and up to 104 in the Delano area. Buttonwillow just went down to 96. You probably saw that. Clear skies across the region, but it's very hot off to the east. In fact, not only is it extremely hot, with temperatures up around 115 degrees, but we do have a high fire situation currently in the San Bernardino National Forest. There's a 7,500-foot wildfire, 7,500 acre, I should say. 104 was the high temperature today, 102 right now. I am expecting the temperatures to begin to go down. They're up a little bit from where we were yesterday at this time. Dew points are very low, and that's part of the problem with the wildfires. You can see the winds, too, gusting up to about 25 miles per hour. Look for temperatures tonight to drop back to the 90s. It's going to turn breezy as a little bit of a marine surge moves into the area. It will be a little cooler tomorrow. And in the Kern County Mountains, temperatures in the 80s, turning windy there too, and a little cooler as we go through the morning tomorrow and into the afternoon as well. But hotter for the weekend. We'll tell you about all of that in just a few minutes. Tom and Courtney, back to you.
Miles, thank you. Here at home, it's been a very busy day for firefighters. They've battled a number of fires. You might have seen smoke from one not far from Valley Plaza. The fire threatened a pair of homes on Baldwin Road that was just north of the mall. It damaged a detached garage in a backyard and spread to the grass. But firefighters were able to control it before it reached the houses. The fire is now under control. No one was hurt. They aren't sure what caused the fire.
Meanwhile, one of the first fires today was in the riverbed. In our hot, dry weather, that area has special dangers. Eyewitness News reporter Carol Ferguson looks at that. Carol?
Mid-morning, a fire breaks out in the river bottom near Highway 99, and again, there are signs of people living in that area. Near the Heart Hospital off Buck Owens Boulevard, Bakersfield and county crews fight the grass fire.
While responding, we saw a pretty good column of smoke. The fire got into some heavy fuel.
Bakersfield Fire Battalion Chief Gary Turner says arson investigators came out.
We also had a report that it might have been said apparently there was 2 suspects seen leaving the area, or actually running away.
The cause isn't pinpointed yet. But people staying here, could they have started it?
That's definitely being investigated. We do have a lot of homeless folks living in the river bottoms at this time.
County Fire Captain Tony Bloomer and this crew work at the big tree where the fire started, and it looks like people have been staying here, and we see more close by. People living here apparently had bug repellent. We see coffee cups, cooking dishes, a can opener, some little balls and other toys, so maybe even children have been staying here. In April, the worry was homeless people starting these fires in the riverbed near the Chester Bridge. Crews talked about dangers like trash and propane tanks. Back at this blaze, they cut up the tree where it started, making sure it won't flare up.
All the dry grass that you see to this side, I mean, that and the trees, it'll just continue to go unless we get it stopped.
This fire could have taken off. They kept it to about a ½ acre. There's real danger in people living out here, especially now.
With the extreme dry conditions and the water drought right now, obviously it is a major concern.
Police continually patrol the riverbed. It is illegal to camp out or live on public land. If you report signs of that, police will start the process to move the people out. Back to you.
Thanks, Carol. Within an hour of the riverbed fire this morning, firefighters were also called to a house fire in East Bakersfield. Eyewitness News reporter Kyle Harvey arrived to that scene just as crews were scaling the roof. Kyle?
Well, Courtney, there's no word yet on exactly what caused this house to go up in smoke. One thing we do know for sure, 7 people and several pets will need to find another place to stay following this blaze.
Passers-by could barely make out the shape of this house shrouded in smoke Thursday morning. But what also wasn't clear right away was who might still be inside.
Even though there was initially a report of children inside the house, they confirmed that the children had made their way out.
With all people accounted for, fire crews headed to the roof.
And their objective is to cut a hole and release that pressure that's on the inside. By doing that, it allows the hose line to be stretched to the scene of the fire more quickly, and they're able to put it out without any hindrance.
By the time the smoke had cleared, $100,000 of damage had been done to the Bakersfield homes.
But there was substantial damage to the house, smoke, heat, and flame damage. So,
what exactly started the fire is not known just yet, but arson investigators were called to the scene.
It's suspicious in nature, but we don't have a determination as of yet.
I think the roof was on fire or something, come like behind the back of the house.
Kendrick Boyd lives across the street. He awoke to the smell of smoke.
Trucks, a lot of firemen everywhere. Yeah, it was hectic. It was crazy.
The 7 residents of the home were referred to the Red Cross, who will help arrange temporary shelter.
Perhaps the only positive thing to come out of the fire this morning was that a large group of students in the fire academy were able to watch the process from a spot close enough to feel the heat, something that likely won't happen much in the classroom. Reporting live in studio, Kyle Harvey, Eyewitness News.
A U.S. Marine caught up in a deportation battle while he was kicked out of the country. His fight for benefits he desperately needs.
Immigration shift, why America is seeing a huge boost in people moving from the Middle East.
Rough weather and bad decisions, how one man got himself trapped in the floodwaters in Texas, why he could be facing charges.
And tropical depressions to the east of us, but we are nothing but dry here. Looks like it's going to be continued sunny, but a little cooler over the next day or two. We'll tell you about that and the full forecast coming up.
You're watching Eyewitness News at 5 on KVAK with Kurt Rivera, Courtney Bryant, Miles Musio, and Greg Kerr. This is Eyewitness News at 5.